So I've literally had men crying in my arms because they don't have anyone else to talk to about stuff that's going on in their life. So when we say like we are literally just therapists in heels, that is the truest thing that I've ever heard. This isn't going to be a video of me giving tips to people that want to start in the industry. If you guys want a video like that, I can definitely do it. Just leave a comment below and I will work on a video like that. Hey guys, welcome back to another video. Today I wanted to talk about my other job. Okay, it's not horse training, it's not this, it's stripping. So I have actually worked in the industry since 2018. So what's that, 2018, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23. Whoa. 7 years. 7 years I worked in the industry, which is a really long time because a lot of the time, especially in stripping, the turnover is like 6 months to a year because it is a really, really hard job. So I thought I would answer a few common questions that I get asked about stripping because I thought that you guys would find that pretty interesting. So first thing that I get asked the most often is, do I enjoy it? Yes, obviously, if I worked in the industry for 7 years, I enjoy my job. And it is one of those industries that you can come and go. It is super flexible. If I want to go for a 3-month holiday, literally tomorrow, I can go, I can come back, my job's still going to be there. And that is, I think, why I've stayed so long in the industry, because it's just been really good as like a form of income where I can use that to then do my other projects. So for example, my horse training, I worked as a vet tech for quite a few number of years. And that whole time I always had stripping there as like a backup, as like some extra cash, or as my main income while I was developing other avenues of income. So for that, I'm like eternally grateful, but it is a very hard industry. The burnout is huge. Socially, mentally, physically, it's very hard on your body. It's very hard mentally, especially if you work in a club like I do, where it's a drinking club. It's pretty much just like working in a nightclub. So obviously you can imagine that's like pretty overstimulating for your brain, for your social capacity, because you're just socializing all night with complete strangers, trying to entertain them, trying to give them the best night possible, while also trying to look after yourself. So that's why I think the turnover is so big, because a lot of people start and then they just burn out. The key though to not burning out is take breaks, which is what I do. So I have left for like 6 months at a time. I've done 1 shift a week. I've done 3 shifts a week. I've done 4 shifts a week. And I just change depending on how I'm feeling and what else is going on in my life. And so I do love that, about that being so flexible. But a lot of people will say, oh, I should just quit my job and be a stripper. It's like, no, honey, you wouldn't last a week in this industry because it is cutthroat. You sink or you swim. So another common question I get asked is, do you get training to be a stripper? Like I literally came from being a concreter. I'd worked as a concreter for 3 years, from 19 to 23. Wait. Maybe it was 18 that I started as a concreter. Anyway, I worked as a concreter from 18, 19 till 23 was when I started in the strip club, which for me felt very young, but there's girls that literally start at 18, which I would not recommend. If you're looking at getting into dancing, do not start when you're 18, because there's just so much about the world that you need to learn first to keep yourself safe, to keep your mental state safe, because this industry will chew you up and spit you the hell out. So I started when I was 23. I had never danced before, never touched a pole. I was so introverted, but the reason I started was because I wanted a job that could make me the same amount of money that I was getting paid full time, but with half the amount of hours, because I wanted to focus on my uni. I was doing university at the time, and I wanted more balance in my life. And that was the only job that fit that criteria. And so it was the most terrifying thing that I've ever done and the most rewarding thing that I've ever done. It was the hardest thing. It has taught me so much about myself. It has literally burnt me to the ground and built me back up again. It has been the hardest thing that I have ever done, but the most rewarding thing that I've ever done, because without it, I probably wouldn't be here today doing what I'm doing today, because I would not have had that ability and the time that stripping and the confidence that stripping gave me and the skills to then do what I'm doing now. So my first night, absolutely terrified. I went and bought my heels that afternoon. I bought my lingerie that afternoon. I bought my heels that afternoon. I went straight to the strip club. The clubs that I work for, so every club is different. Every country is different. Every state is different. But in the clubs that I work for, there's no like audition process. Like you just go in for an interview, you say, hey, I want to work here. They go, great. All right, come work a shift. And it's your trial shift. And it's generally just for you to see if you want to stay there, because they're going to take pretty much anyone. Like, depending on the club, like some clubs have higher standards for like looks and stuff, but they'll say, hey, this is our standard, this is what you have to present like, and if you want to work here, you can, and if you don't want to work here, then bye, there's a door. And then unless you cause drama, break rules and stuff like that, you typically don't really get fired. And when I say breaking rules, I mean breaking, like, there's a regulation for the industry, a set of laws that we have to follow. So if you break those, then generally, you're asked to leave. So we are sole contractors, which means that we don't get paid by the club. So technically we are renting that space to work from. So we pay what's called a door fee at the start of a shift. For my club at the moment is $30. It can go anywhere from, depending on the club, it can be nothing, it can be $30, it can be $100, $200. It just depends on the club. Generally, clubs that have higher earning potential, like clubs in Melbourne, they will have a higher door fee, especially later in the night, because that's when everyone wants to come in and start working, because that's when all the money starts coming in. So some clubs will have higher door fees. My door fee is $30. And then that's my technically renting the space to do my job. And then I get paid by the customer. So no money exchanges hands between me and the club. So I'm a sole trader, which is really annoying because that means that we have literally no rights. And that's something that I'm trying to work on, is to get us more rights, especially in Australia, because the adult entertainment industry is pretty shit in Australia. Like the laws are pretty crap. Brothels actually have more rights than we do, just because they've put in the work and they've actually gotten themselves the legislation. Whereas strippers, I think because it's such a transient industry, we just don't do it. So that's something that I'm going to try and work on, since I've been in the industry for so long and I always complain about it and I'm like, wait, why don't I do something about it? So I'm working on that. But because we're sole traders, it's really, really hard. Anyway, I just went on a tangent. Anyway, back to what I was saying. So my first shift, I started and I get to the club and just terrifying. And they just go, here's a stage, here's how to climb a pole, here's some basic moves, because you come in early, like before people get there. So usually the club opens at 7. People don't usually come in until like around 9 or 10. So you've got like a couple hours where the baby dancers or the new girls, can learn and practice and get used to comfortable with the club. And then, it's just sink or swim. You go on stage, you get naked on stage, you go lap dances, depending on the club. You get naked in lap dances or not, it just depends on the club. My clubs, you do get naked, you get fully naked, so mine's a full nude club. It's also a drinking club, so all the clubs, I believe in Australia, are also full bars. So I think a few clubs in America aren't like that. I think they've got different laws over there, but here, it is full drinking bars, so girls can drink on shift. Patrons can get pretty drunk. So as you can imagine, it can get pretty intense pretty quickly. And you've really got to know yourself, know your boundaries, know how to enforce your boundaries and hold your own. And again, that's something that's like really has taught me so much. That's something that stripping has like taught me so much. I think coming from being a concreter and being the only female in the concrete yard and having to deal with a bunch of men for a couple of years, I think that gave me a good foundation too about how to like kind of put men in their place, although I'm much better at it these days, because back then, I was very young, which is why I hate it when girls come in at 18, 19 and they're just so young and vulnerable, and they, I have seen a lot of girls get taken advantage of by certain patrons and customers and stuff like that, and even just the industry in itself and managers and stuff, because it is a pretty cutthroat industry. So anyway, get on my first stage set. A guy tips me. He goes, "How much do I tip you?" And I say, "Whatever you think I'm worth." So he gives me $20, right? And I'm like, oh, my first tip. Anyway, so usually you're on for 3 songs at my club. It just changes depending on the club. Some clubs have like strict rosters first stage. My club, it's just, you just go on whenever and you do 3 songs and then you get off and then someone else gets on and then you just kind of rotate through, and it's kind of like an honor system where like you just make sure that you're going on and doing your fair share. Otherwise you're going to piss everyone off. Anyway, so he tips me and then I didn't realize that was like the end of my set, and he tipped me right at the end. So if they tip you right at the end, you've done 3 songs and a girl comes to replace you, like you have to get off. So I go to get off and he got so angry at me, he yelled at me, and that was my first experience on stage, and I was like, oh my God, it was like very intense. But anyway, I guess obviously I moved past that and look at me now. I'm 7 years into the industry. But yeah, that was my first experience with a customer and with the stage set, which was pretty scary, but you know, it's just character building. You just move on. And honestly, I don't mind making men upset. It's kind of fun. Anyway, so another question that I get asked a lot is, how much do you earn? That question kind of pisses me off because I don't go around asking, you know, other people, like businessmen or like anyone else in any other industry, oh, so how much do you earn? And like, that's like usually like one of the first or second question that people will ask. And it's like, that's so rude. Like, none of your fucking business. But it just varies. It really varies. You can have nights where you come to work and you pay a door fee and you make $0. So you lose $30 or however much a door fee is. And then other nights you can come in and you can make $2,000. So it really depends on the night. If it only takes one person to make your night, you know, sometimes you can get a lot of little dancers and that can add up, or sometimes you just get someone that just comes in and books you all night. In fact, actually the other night, I met a guy, came in and he was like, I want to order pizza. And I said, well, if you want to order pizza, you got to book one of our booths, which is kind of like a VIP booth. So you get a bottle of alcohol and you get your own private space. And then the club will allow you book dancers in there, and then the club allows you to like order pizza if you want. We can order a pizza because we don't serve food at our club. I know clubs in America do, but none of the clubs that I know of in Australia do. Anyway, so he's like, I want to order pizza. I'm like, all right, well, you've got to do this then. And he's like, okay. So he gets me and my friend. He buys us a bottle of Dom Perignon champagne, which at our club is worth $800, which is insane. It's a bottle of freaking champagne. Anyway, $800. So he gets the booth, and then he orders us a massive pizza. He doesn't eat any of the pizza. And we go, all right, let's book some dancers so we can stay here. So he books us for a few hours. And I believe, so our hour dance price is $360 per person, per girl. So he's, you know, paying quite a lot of money. And we did not even give this man a lap dance. We just sat there and talked about AI the entire night. And then he ended up ordering 2 more bottles of champagne, and we ended up getting another one of our friends up. And we just sat there and talked about AI the whole time. It was very, very good. It was like, that's what I love about strip clubs. People think that you come in and like, you know, it's all sexual and it's all about like the sex appeal. No, I honestly can't remember the last time I did a lap dance, because I just get the clients that just want a good conversation. They just want someone to hang out with. They just want someone that's fun. And that's where you really start making the big money, is when you're able to connect with people on a deeper level that's more than just like a lap dance. And I think because my club has like quite long bookings, so our minimum booking is 10 minutes, and that's $100, all the way up to an hour, which is $360. So you are not really going to book 10 minutes most of the time. I kind of talk clients out of 10 minutes because it's not very much time. And half an hour, we actually get the biggest cut from that at my club. So minimum dance usually is half an hour in my club. So you can imagine, like, you're spending half an hour, hours with people, you do end up having like a pretty genuine connection. And that's the part that I love about stripping, is because you get to meet so many different people, you get to talk to so many different people. So I've literally had men crying in my arms because they don't have anyone else to talk to about stuff that's going on in their life. So when we say like we are literally just therapists in heels, that is the truest thing that I've ever heard. You know, there's a lot of stigma around like men's mental health and like going to therapy. And so you end up in a situation, sometimes they're from out of state, and they're just here in business, they're by themselves, they don't have any friends here, they're going through shit at home, they come into the strip club, they have a few drinks, they're nice and relaxed, you know, we're talking, we're connecting on like a deeper level, it's an intimate situation, and then they just start kind of unloading all the stuff that's been going on in their lives, and then the amount of times men have been like, I don't know why I'm telling you this. And I'm like, I know why you're telling me this. It's because you don't have anyone else to talk to. I'm a stranger. You're never going to see me again. So it creates this like really beautiful space where like people feel like they can open up, and it can be very therapeutic. And that's also, again, one of the reasons why I love it. So yeah, what's another question that I often get asked? I did write this down, but it's on my phone and my phone is filming right now. So I can't even look at that. Oh, let me show you guys my heels. So these are like typical heels. Yes, we walk around in these all night. No, they are not uncomfortable. In fact, I think because the angle of your foot is technically not that like significant, it's actually way comfier than wearing normal heels. And these are designed for dancers to be worn all night. So yes, your feet do hurt a little bit to start with as you adjust, but these are actually really comfy. I don't wear heels this big anymore. I mean, you can actually get ones that are 8 inches. These are 7 inches, I believe. And the inch part comes from here, but the 8 inches are about that. I used to wear that when I first started dancing, and now I'm old. So I literally wear, 6s? So they're about like that. Just because it's easier on my back. The wear and tear pro stripping is very intense on your body. You don't get to warm up before you go on stage, so you're going on stage, getting off stage multiple times a night, you're doing pole tricks, you're doing floor work, you're walking around in heels, you're giving lap dances. So the toll on your body is quite intense, and if you don't look after your body, then it will just break down. And that's one thing that I like to focus on, is making sure that when I'm not working, I'm looking after my body. So I'm doing massages, I'm doing Pilates, I'm doing resistance work to make sure that the muscles that I need to stay in shape are staying in shape, because the way that you stand in heels too, it kind of makes your body go like that. And so if you're not working your abs and your core muscles to restabilize, then you're gonna end up with like really bad back problems. And then you're not gonna be able to work, and you're gonna screw yourself up. What is another question? Another question that I get asked a lot, which annoys me so much, and again, this is like one of the few first questions that people will ask me, is what's your long-term plan? And I'm like, so what's your long-term plan? Because like, why do you need a long-term plan? People like to say and point out, you can't do this forever. It's like, okay, but do you really want to do one job forever? Because I don't. And I know that society tells us we're meant to have like one career and we're meant to follow that through for the rest of our life. But that's like boomer shit. Like, I don't want to do that. I want to do what I'm passionate about and what I enjoy doing now in this time of my life that I'm in. And yes, I'm always doing multiple other projects. But if you're not, and you're just dancing, and this is just for this phase of your life, that's okay. And I hate it when people say that, because it's almost like a degrading thing, like, oh, well, you can't do this forever. Yeah, okay, Gerald, do you want to work in your shitty office job forever? No, but you're probably going to. And meanwhile, we are going to be out here doing things that we're passionate about, because a lot of people in the industry are so creative and they're so driven. You cannot be a stripper and not be driven, because you have to be self-driven. You don't have to go to work. When you're at work, you don't have to work. And if you don't work at work, you make no money. So strippers are some of the most intelligent, driven people that I've ever met. I know girls that are doctors. I know girls that just are so intelligent and are doing so much in the world. And they're using stripping as like a base to do that. So, and I think it's all about society too, teaching us that, you know, sex work of any kind is lesser than other work. And it's all about stigma. And it has changed significantly since I first started in 2018, the stigma. And I think OnlyFans and everything that's going on the internet plays a big role in actually destigmatizing sex work. And I love that. And I love all the creators out there that are vocal about being sex workers, because it really like gets rid of the stigma. But there's still a long way to go. And yeah, that's just something that really pisses me off, because if you're just doing this because you want to do this right now, that's totally okay. And you don't owe anyone an explanation or a justification as to why you want to be a stripper. You can just be a stripper because it's just a job and everybody needs a job because everybody needs an income. You know, no one asks people that are working at Coles or Woolworths, oh, what's your long-term plan? I'm sure they don't want to be a checkout chick for the rest of their life, but no one asks them that because it'd be rude. But for some reason, sex work, people think that they are allowed to say those sort of things and are justified in that. And I'm just like, it's annoying. Anyway, so I generally like to call people out every time they ask me that. And then I will tell them about my side projects sometimes. But also sometimes it depends how I'm feeling and it depends on the person. Sometimes I just lie. I'll be like, yeah, I'm a nurse. Or sometimes I just say random stuff sometimes with a straight face to men, especially in the club, to see if they believe me. Like one of my favorite things is like, yeah, no, my dad's actually an astronaut. And they're like, really? I'm like, yeah. And they're like, and they want to believe it, but they also feel like they shouldn't believe it. And then you can see the little cogs hunting. Anyway, it's very entertaining. And then I'll just like say random shit and I'll just see how long I can just keep spurting crap until they realize that I'm just talking shit at them. And then sometimes they actually have to say, don't worry, I'm just talking shit. Because sometimes they get really confused or they actually fully believe what it is that I'm saying. And then I have to be like, oh, I'm actually lying to you. But anyway. So yeah, it just depends. But it is very fun because people don't really expect you to tell the truth in the strip club either. Because, you know, we have fake names. That is generally a safety thing. But where I live, I don't really feel like it's that important anymore. Back in the day, I think it was, and maybe in places in America, but where I work, in the state that I work in Australia, most of my regulars know my real name because I don't really care. I'm very open, you know, obviously I'm open with my full name on the internet and talking about my job. So for me, it's not a worry, but some girls do like privacy. A lot of girls don't tell any of their family or their friends or anything that they're strippers because there's still a stigma. A few people I know work in jobs such as like in hospitals and stuff where they can't tell people about it because of the stigma associated with it and the risk of them losing their job, which is so messed up because it's literally a legal job. There's like nothing wrong with it. But yeah, I guess we're just not quite there yet as a society, but we're getting there. All right, and then the last question that I get asked a lot is, how is it dating as a stripper? And this one's pretty interesting. I do enjoy talking about this because it's not what you typically think would be hard about dating as a stripper. So most of the time you would think like, oh, it's hard because like men would look down on you for your job. That's not actually true. Like, yeah, sure, some men won't want to date a stripper generally because they're insecure themselves and they can't handle it, which is fine. And I think it really like rats out those people from your lives because like I just tell people straight away, like, yeah, I'm a stripper. I tell people I'm a stripper before I tell them I'm a horse trainer because I want to see their reaction and I want to gauge whether that's someone that I want in my life or not. Because if they have any sort of reaction to it that's negative, then I'm like, okay, I don't need that energy in my life. So I guess in that sense it's good because it gets rid of all the douchebags. I've had 2 long-term relationships while working in a strip club. One of the people worked in a strip club with me. That's how we met, which was great because there's just so much about a strip club that you only get if you have worked in the strip club. So, you know, it was great. I would come home and tell him stuff and he would understand exactly what I was, you know, where I was coming from because he understood how the dynamic worked in a strip club because it is like a very different world compared to what normal people are used to. But the biggest thing that I struggle with dating as a stripper is the social aspect. So think about this. I'm going to work, you know, sometimes I do full-time, which is 3 to 4 shifts a week, and they're all night shifts, which is quite draining. And I'm an introvert. So I socially burn out very quickly. So I find it very hard to go on dates with men, especially meeting on like Tinder and stuff like that, because my entire job is talking to strange men. So like, because I'm doing that so much at work, the thought of like going on a date and having small talk with another stranger, I'm just like, oh, please kill me. I would rather do anything else. So I think because of that reason, I don't ever really do dating apps at all. And I haven't really dated for like the last like 4 or 5 years. That's just because I got out of back-to-back long-term relationships and I was attracting really shitty men. And I was like, all right, that's enough. Time to focus on me, which is great. Like the longer I'm single, the more I want to stay single. But yeah, that's probably the biggest thing for me, that dating as a stripper is just like, you just don't want to date because your job is pretty much like speed dating. But yeah, and I know that like I'm pretty open to like the concept that if I get my life where I want my life, then someone's going to come along that's going to complement that. And I don't really need to feel like I need to go out and search for that person. And if I never find that person, then I think I'm going to be pretty happy anyway. Like, I don't really want kids. I'm pretty happy with my animals. Like, if I could be a crazy cat lady living in the forest with a bunch of animals and my best group of girlfriends, which I have a great group of girlfriends. Some I met in the industry, like I've met lifelong friends from the industry, but then also just because I think this era that we live in, less and less people my age, I'm 29, are getting married and more of them are staying single. And so, you know, I've got this amazing group of girlfriends. And that's all I need. I don't even feel like I need a man in my life at all. If I find someone, then that's going to be awesome. But I'm just going to let my life play out the way that my life is meant to play out. And I feel fulfilled in the way that I'm living my life right now. And that's the most important thing. So yeah. Anyway, I should probably end the video there because I actually have a nail appointment in like 20 minutes. So I should probably stop. These are my nails now. They're from Valentine's Day, so that's why they got little love hearts on them, and also my birthday. I turned 29 last week. Woo! So I'm gonna get horsey ones this time, I think. So I'll show you guys. I'll probably post it on my Instagram, so head over there if you want to see it. And because I just celebrated my birthday party, I just celebrated my birthday with a birthday party. It was unicorn themed, and I'm just about to upload all the photos that I took, do a little photo dump. So head over to my Instagram again to see that, because I had a penis jumping castle and a giant unicorn cake, and it was just really fun. So yeah, good vibes all around. If you want to see those photos, head over there. But yeah, anyway, thank you guys for listening and watching, and I will see you in the next video.